This is Disney World before Bob Iger, and this is Disney World after Bob Iger. For those of you who don't know, Bob Iger became CEO of Disney in just November 2022. There are 25 whole rides and attractions that he shut at Disney World. So let's rate every ride he got rid of and see how much magic he has taken away from Disney. Before we get started, there will be a hidden Mickey in this video. Comment when you find him. The first ride is the most recent we've lost, the Rock and Roller Coaster. If you've been on this ride, you will never forget this line, or having to put your pedal to the metal, because this is one of the all-time great thrill coasters at Disney World. Sadly, it was recently announced it would be shutting and rethemed to a Muppets Electric Mayhem themed roller coaster, which, let's be honest, is a massive downgrade. Disney fans will be fuming that they will never be able to zoom across in a super stretch limo just absolutely head-throwing to Aerosmith's rock and roll bangers. This ride was a solid 10 out of 10. Ride 2, the Great Movie Ride. I mean, this ride was iconic. Just look at the Chinese theater. Iger closed this ride in 2020 in his previous tenure to replace it with Mickey and Minnie's Railway Runaway, but real Disney fans missed the Great Movie Ride. In the ride, you got to relive some of the greatest movie moments in history in this iconic Hollywood theater, but now it's just a weird, trippy ride with Mickey and Minnie. From Mary Poppins to Alien to Indiana Jones, the Great Movie Ride captured riders with a real journey through the movies and a series of great stories. Although I like Mickey and Minnie's Railway Runaway, this ride was a strong 9 out of 10 and should still be part of the Disney World experience. Ride 3, Splash Mountain. If you've watched our last video, then you will know how much we loved Splash Mountain. I mean, this ride pretty much summed the Disney magic up. It looked iconic, it had that nostalgic 2D Disney feel, and a story that Walt Disney would have been proud of. If you went to Disney World, you'd ride Splash Mountain at least 10 times. It was that good. Zip-a-dee-doo-dah is getting stuck in my head just thinking about it. We'd rate this ride a 10 out of 10, and if you disagree, let us know why in the comments. Ride 4, the Studio Backlot Tour. This is our first ride that has been permanently closed, without a re-theme, and honestly, I'm not sure I mind loads. The ride gave you a walking and tram tour of movie props from classics like Star Wars and Indiana Jones with a huge stunt, where an earthquake erupts, a huge explosion and flood. It was a pretty unique attraction, but if I had to rate it, it'd be a 6 out of 10. Ride 5, the OG Test Track. Before this was a high-tech Chevrolet ride, it was a charming step back in time, where you'd test the car's braking system through a crash course. The handling would be tested too, swerving out of the way of incoming traffic, like the ride today, but given the choice between this vintage feeling, classy charming attraction, and a neon Tron from Temu Chevrolet Test Track, it'd be the old one every day. Also, hitting 104 kilometers an hour in an old car felt more impressive than doing it in the latest high-tech car. I'd rate the old Test Track ride a solid 7 out of 10. Ride 6, Dinosaur. Let me summarize this ride with a tweet. I was riding Dinosaur the other day, and this kid on the ride with me said, "I'm not surprised they're closing this pile of crap." Now, is that unfair? Yes, but put your bias aside, this is not a great ride. The ride is so intense, if you come off it without whiplash, then you deserve a medal, a trophy even. It's the only ride with decent seat bags for your belongings, and there's a reason why. Credit to Dinosaur because the pre-show is great. Fun fact, they actually made the ride less intense because of complaints. With that said, this ride is a nice 6 out of 10, but it will be missed. Ride 7, Snow White's Scary Adventures. This was one of the scariest and darkest rides in Disney World, with a huge jump scare from the witch. It's still open in every other Disney park, and has been open since day 1 in Disney California. Bob Iger really shut one of the coolest rides in the park. Imagine a ride now based on a princess, but is actually based around this terrifying villain who kills you at the end. That is so cool, and Disney World is missing that dark storytelling. I'd rate Snow White's Scary Adventures a very strong 8 out of 10. Ride 8, Stitch's Great Escape. Bob Iger has ruined a lot of Disney World, and has a special talent for ruining magic, but a lot of park goers will be grateful that he shut Stitch's Great Escape. There aren't many rides that are universally disliked, but this was one of them. If you know about the burp from this ride, ride? Then you can probably still smell how bad it was. Is it a shame this ride got shut down? No, but Lilo and Stitch should be used again for new rides in the future. Let's not forget how awesome that Stitch animatronic was. This ride's biggest problem was that it was a re-theme of the iconic Alien Encounter ride, and was too much of a downgrade. It felt rushed, and just didn't have enough of the beloved blue furball Stitch for it to really feel like his ride. Stitch's Great Escape gets a 3 out of 10. Ride 9, Muppet Vision 3D. What an amazing attraction. One of the most unique and memorable experiences in any theme park. Iger is shutting it down. Muppet Vision 3D in the legendary Muppet Theater was the last project Jim Henson worked on, but Bob Iger has no respect for legends. This is one of the coolest attractions, especially if you're a Muppets fan. The closure of this ride sums Bob Iger up, ruining the magic of a ride and putting it on Disney Plus so anyone can experience a bad version of it. Muppet Vision 3D might be another 10/10, but obviously Bob Iger is closing it. Ride 10, Tom Sawyer's Island. Disney World is this huge magical theme park, right? So it can get a bit overwhelming, which is why Tom Sawyer's theme park worked so well. It's a great escape to the constant noise and crowds. You can feel like a kid again there. Now, its replacement does sound awesome as it's a ride based around cars, so I can understand it, but this is the problem with Iger's Disney. It's always replacing rides over expanding the park. They have the space to expand, but just refuse to. Tom Sawyer's Island isn't some amazing spectacle, and the Cars ride will be great, but it still ranks as a solid 7 out of 10. Ride 11, Primeval Whirl. They replaced Primeval Whirl with, let me get this straight, nothing. This was a cool ride, but to be fair to Bob Iger, it wasn't exactly cutting edge and didn't set Disney apart from other theme parks. This is harsh, but some say that nothing is actually an improvement on Primeval Whirl. For that reason alone, it's a 3 out of 10 ride at best. Ride 12, Maelstrom. Imagine Bob Iger closing a great log flume ride. Splash Mountain Maelstrom. What's next? Pirates of the Caribbean. Sadly, the closure of Maelstrom marks what Iger has done to Epcot specifically. He's made a park of the future, a park of the past, and a shell of what it was once. Maelstrom was an awesome ride all about Vikings, with amazing theming. It had a huge 28-foot drop after plunging deep into the North Sea. It's since been replaced with a Frozen ride. Maelstrom was easily an 8 out of 10 ride. Ride 13, Soarin' over California. Now, surely soaring around the world is better than just soaring over California. Strangely, we have to say that's wrong. The smells you get from California, the focus on the scenery rather than the landscapes. The stupidity here is that Iger could have both, like the Star Tours ride where you get a random location when you ride. Soarin' over California can bring riders to tears, but Soarin' over the world just has these horrible fake-looking videos of man-made landmarks that just look awful on the curved screen. Soarin' over California isn't the most state-of-the-art ride, but it is relaxing with that floating feeling, so I'd rate it a respectable 7 out of 10. For context, Soaring Around the World would get a 3 out of 10. Ride 14. This isn't a ride, but it matters to some fans. On the Pirates of a Caribbean ride, there was, let's say, an auction for a lady of the night. Well, she was being sold off to pirates who yelled, "We wants the redhead." And that line has been removed. Iger removed this, and people seem to care. My thoughts, get with the times. This was a 2 out of 10 attraction piece. Ride 15, Liberty Belle. Whether you're queuing for Haunted Mansion at night, or walking through Frontier Land across the rivers of America, the glorious Liberty Belle Riverboat was a beautiful sight. Whether you admired her from afar, or embarked on her scenic 12-minute journey around the rivers of America, she made the park very special and magic. Liberty Belle had that sprinkling of vintage Disney that brought park goers and Disney fans closer to Walt, and with it soon to close, shows Bob Iger for what he is, a money-hungry, shareholder's best friend, pig who doesn't have an ounce of imagination. Liberty Belle was a 10 out of 10. The rest of Bob Iger's closures are smaller attractions, but if you want a video on that, then leave a like and subscribe. Did you spot the hidden Mickey in this video? Subscribe to Disaster Park for more.